गुड आफ्टरनून टू यू ऑल। तो आज जो हम यहाँ ये प्रेस कॉन्फ्रेंस हमने बुलाई है और जो हम एकत्र हुए हैं इसके लिए कि पिछले महीने में मिनिस्ट्री ऑफ इंफॉर्मेशन एंड ब्रॉडकास्टिंग ने पहली बार जो डिजिटल मीडिया और इंटरमीडियरी गाइडलाइंस इशू हुई थी फरवरी 2021 में, उसके तहत उसको यूज़ करते हुए हमने कुछ पाकिस्तानी चैनल्स को ब्लॉक किया था। और आज हम फिर से कोई लगभग 35 यूट्यूब की चैनल्स, 2 वेबसाइट, इंस्टाग्राम अकाउंट हैं, 1-2 फेसबुक अकाउंट हैं, इनको हमने फिर ब्लॉक करने का कल आदेश पारित किया। ये जो अकाउंट्स हैं इस पे कोई लगभग 1 करोड़ 20 लाख, देयर आर अबाउट 1 करोड़ 20 लाख सब्सक्राइबर्स and total more than 130 crore views. It's a huge this thing, 130 crore views on YouTube. So, and these channels, they are very, very toxic channels. In their presentation, we'll give you a brief glimpse of what sort of calumny and what sort of falsehood is being passed against India. All these channels are based in Pakistan. So, and we'll give you a full brief on what these channels are and किस तरह का उस पर कंटेंट था, और totally baseless, totally content which has no sense at all, and this is a sort of a war against the country, a war of misinformation against the country, because this is the sort of information which is absolutely toxic, totally against the sovereignty of the country, and that is why we have used the provisions of the IT Act Section 69A to block these channels under the emergency provisions. With that, I will request Joint Secretary Mr. Vikram Sahay to make a short presentation.
Thank you, sir, and good afternoon, everybody. As the Secretary has already mentioned, that decision was taken yesterday under the IT rules of 25th February 2021 for using the emergency powers for blocking. We used this last month also, and you all had covered it based on intelligence inputs. We had blocked 20 YouTube channels and 2 websites on 20th December last month, and so exactly 1 month now that this decision has been taken now. And I remember when this decision had been taken last month, it had been widely covered by the media, and we thought this is a matter which merits wide media attention so that the people of the country know about the type of misinformation which is being spread from a neighboring country. Next. So yesterday on 20th January, as the Secretary mentioned, based on fresh intelligence inputs which the ministry received, we have issued directions for blocking 35 YouTube channels, 2 Twitter accounts, 2 Instagram accounts, 2 websites, and a Facebook account, and orders have been issued to the respective social media intermediaries and to the internet service providers through the Department of Telecom for blocking all these accounts, which is underway. And the common factor amongst all these accounts have been, as it last time, that they operate from Pakistan and spread fake anti-India news and other content. And over 1.2 crore subscriber base these accounts have, with a viewership of 130 crore. Next. The content is on various subjects, and we just would like to highlight a few subjects. One, of course, that has been the obsession in all these accounts of the Indian Armed Forces, on Jammu and Kashmir, India's foreign relations with other countries, and the very tragic demise of a former Chief of Defense Staff General Bipin Rawat, and separatist ideas in public order, which all attract the provisions of Section 69A of the Information Technology Act 2000. Next. So we'll just show you a few videos and snapshots of what type of this content is. I can just play this.
ग्लोबल ट्रुथ के नाज़रीन, एक नई वीडियो में खुशामदीद। बिपिन रावत को किसने मारा, सारी कहानी खुलकर सामने आ गई। मोदी सरकार बिपिन रावत के कत्ल में मुलविस निकली। भारतीय फौज ने मोदी के खिलाफ ऐलान जंग कर दिया। बिपिन रावत की मौत का केस भारत की फौजी अदालत में जा पहुंचा। मोदी ही भारतीय फौज को तबाह करने वाला निकला। भारतीय फौज ने बीजेपी सरकार से बदला लेने की ठान ली। मोदी की खतरनाक साजिश का पहली बात और खुल गया। मोदी ने कैसे भारतीय चीफ ऑफ डिफेंस बिपिन रावत को कत्ल किया और इसका योगी से क्या ताल्लुक है। अब तक की सबसे बड़ी खबर ने हर तरफ हलचल मचा कर दी। दोस्तों, बिपिन रावत की मौत के बाद बहुत सी ऐसी बातें सामने आ रही हैं जिससे शक यकीन में बदलता जा रहा है। चीफ ऑफ डिफेंस का हेलीकॉप्टर जानबूझकर गिराया गया था। मोदी ने हमेशा भारतीय फौज को अपनी सियासत के लिए इस्तेमाल किया है, क्योंकि भारत की आवाम हर मुल्क की तरह अपनी फौज से बहुत प्यार करती है। भारतीय फौज ने अब मोदी की सबसे बड़ी गद्दारी पकड़ ली है, जिसमें ये बात खुलकर सामने आ चुकी है कि बिपिन रावत का हेलीकॉप्टर किसी हादसे में नहीं बल्कि मोदी सरकार ने जानबूझकर गिराया है और इसमें योगी ने खुलकर मोदी का साथ दिया।
चीन के बाद एक और खतरनाक मुल्क ने भारत को ललकार दिया। भारतीय फौज के खौफ से टांगे कांपने लगी। शी जिनपिंग और किम जोंग ने भारत को तबाह करने की ठान ली। चीन और शिमाली कोरिया भारत, इसराइल और अमेरिका के खिलाफ यकजा। भारतीय फौज को लद्दाख के मुकाम पर चीन के साथ साथ दुनिया की खतरनाक फौजों का भी सामना। शिमाली कोरिया की फौजें खतरनाक हथियार लेकर चीन की मदद के लिए लद्दाख पहुंच गई। मुज़ाकरात नाकाम होते ही भारतीय फौज पर कयामत टूट पड़ी। 200 चीनी फौजियों को पकड़ने की बजाय अपने 200 फौजी की छितरोल करवा डाली। मोदी को जान खिलाने पड़ गए। चीन और पाकिस्तान के बाद
Here are some snapshots of the channels which have been running on YouTube from those various sources in Pakistan. This one says that General Bipin Rawat was assassinated, of course, which is a fake news. Next. Lesson for Indian states seeking independence from India. The National Security Advisor is behind the crash. United Bengal, a greater Bangladesh. This type of content is floating. That the North Korean army reached Ladakh to help Chinese army. There are just a few exemplars which we thought we must place before you. Tarini Rawat accepts Islam after Mi-17 helicopter crash case. 7 big states of India demanding a separate country. Pakistan ने इंडिया के रिवर्स पर कब्जा कर लिया. Now this is all fake news affecting the sovereignty and integrity of the country, which is being all misinformation being spread from across the border. Thank you.
We will take some questions now, if there are. Yeah.
Sir, you have said that you issued a ban on these
Hold
websites. Sir, this is Payal from ANI. Sir, you said that you've issued a ban on, or rather you've banned some of these websites. Is there a way in which you're trying to regulate more content, given the fact that, fake news, like you're saying, might be, in various forms as well? Is there any mechanism by which you want to filter more and more such content?
See, as you can see, this content is totally toxic and anti-India. I mean, talking about that the government is responsible for the crash of General Bipin Rawat and NSA is responsible, or the daughter of General Bipin Rawat is accepting Islam. What sort of nonsense is this? So this is all anti-India, totally anti-India propaganda, and North Korean army going to Kashmir. What sort of nonsense? But anyway, the point is that our intelligence agencies are now alive to this issue. Last month we blocked about 20 YouTube channels. This month we have blocked about 35 YouTube channels. And as you can see that they are YouTube channels with 1 crore 20 lakh subscriber base, 130 crore views. 130 crore is almost the population of India. So now since this process started, I am sure that more and more such channels will get blocked. Our YouTube, our intelligence agencies are at work. We are at work. At the same time, I would like to ask you also that you carry this message to the people. And in fact, we will like that the people come up with their own this thing. They tell us that these are the channels which are toxic and which are against the country, and we will take action against those. Why should we rely only on the intelligence agencies or our work? So we will look forward to your support also. Also, I would also like to mention that this is also a responsibility of the intermediaries. People like YouTube also should, take this into account that these are totally toxic, fake news, and in their systems also these should get flagged as something which doesn't fit into any journalistic guideline.
Sir, you've said that these accounts were emerging from Pakistan. You've ordered the blocking of these accounts, but has your ministry drawn up a list of accounts? Are there accounts which you are watching right now and may order blocking of in the weeks to come? And also, have you found a trend of some of this propaganda also emerging from China?
See, because we have taken recourse to emergency provisions of the IT rules, where even, we received the communication yesterday from an intelligence agency and we blocked it yesterday itself. So even that interministerial committee, that has not taken place because we feel that this is such toxic content, as soon as it comes to our notice, we should block it. So as and when we get any such information, and this is so clearly against the sovereignty and integrity of the country, we will take action on an immediate basis. Whatever has come to our notice, we have taken action. Anything more which comes to our notice, we will take immediate action, that we can assure.
Hi sir, I am Ashok from ANI. Ministry has found any links between these channels and websites are funded by some specific organizations and company, which is anti-India or for their vested interest?
That is a matter of investigation. We can't really comment on that. That is for the intelligence agencies to work on, and we can't really comment on that.
Any action that you're contemplating, for people who are sharing it within the country, like, there are WhatsApp groups possibly, or, groups that are broadcasting it. Any action that is being contemplated on that?
So these are YouTube channels and, not really on a broadcast per se, because these are available on YouTube, and whatever details are available with the channels, we will take those, that who are the subscribers, what is the viewership, that data would be available, we will take that.
सर प्रणय उपाध्याय हूं एबीपी न्यूज से। इंटरमीडियरीज के बारे में आपने कहा, इसके पहले भी आप इंटरमीडियरीज के साथ संपर्क में रहे हैं, अभी तक उनसे इस बारे में क्या रेस्पॉन्स मिला है? आर दे रिसेप्टिव अबाउट योर कंप्लेंट्स एंड इश्यूज?
इंटरमीडिएट से हमें रिस्पांस बहुत अच्छा मिला है। जो भी हमने जब लास्ट टाइम भी जब हमने ऑर्डर निकाला था तो विद इन 24 आवर्स 24 घंटे के अंदर उन्होंने उसको जो है इम्प्लीमेंट किया, और इस बार भी रिस्पांस हमारे को बहुत अच्छा मिला है। तो उसमें हमारे को कोई उससे उनकी तरफ से कोई दिक्कत नहीं है। जो भी हमने ऑर्डर पारित किया, और लास्ट टाइम उन्होंने पूरा जो यूट्यूब चैनल थी वो ग्लोबल लेवल पे उन्होंने ब्लॉक करी थी, केवल भारत में नहीं ग्लोबल लेवल पे ब्लॉक करी थी। तो क्योंकि उन्हें भी ये लगा कि ये जो है बिल्कुल ही गलत है, इसमें जो है केवल भारत में ही ब्लॉक करना नहीं, पूरे विश्व में इसको ब्लॉक करना आवश्यक है। पर जैसा मैंने कहा कि हम उनसे, हमारी अपेक्षा उनसे थोड़ी और अधिक है कि ये जो है उनकी तरफ से भी ये चीज़ें आनी चाहिए, उनके खुद के सिस्टम्स में ऐसा होना चाहिए कि ये चीज़ें इतनी टॉक्सिक है कि ये आनी ही नहीं चाहिए।
सर आपसे क्वेश्चन ये था, क्या यूट्यूब चैनल्स को और पोर्टल्स को रेगुलराइज करने का कुछ प्रोसीजर चल रहा है? क्या प्रोसीजर यूट्यूब चैनल्स एंड पोर्टल्स को रेगुलराइज करने का जो न्यूज़ लगाते हैं?
मैं समझा नहीं। यूट्यूब
सर मैं ये कह रहा हूँ कि जो यूट्यूब चैनल और पोर्टल्स न्यूज़ कैटर करते हैं, प्रोवाइड करते हैं, उनको रेगुलराइज करने के लिए मिनिस्ट्री ऑफ आईबी क्या कुछ कर रही है क्या अभी इंडिया के लिए?
ये वाले जो चैनल्स हैं ये तो सारे पाकिस्तान से, इससे तो अब ये कौन बना रहा है, क्या बना रहा है, हमें इसका
नहीं, जो इंडिया के हैं उनकी बात हो रही है सर।
हाँ,
उनके लिए क्या जा रहा है जो इंडिया में, ताकि फेक न्यूज़ वो सर्कुलेट ना हो, उसके लिए पूछा जा रहा है सर।
अब ये चांस है कि ये अभी तक जो चैनल्स हमारे सामने आए हैं पाकिस्तान के आए हैं, कोई भारत के होंगे तो उनके खिलाफ भी हम एक्शन लेंगे। जो भी हमारे सामने आएगा उसके खिलाफ हम एक्शन लेंगे।
थैंक यू सर।
Sir, first and foremost, the question arises that since the internet is so vast, sir, बहुत सारे ऐसे channels हैं जो लगातार चल रहे हैं, तो इसमें क्या क्या problems face कर रही है मिनिस्ट्री? एंड सर सेकंड एक इस विषय से सर हट करके अगर आप जवाब देना चाहें, जो since you're a very senior bureaucrat as well, sir, Mamata Banerjee has written to the center asking about, how there's been a change of IS transfer and posting, sir. If you would want to perhaps comment on that as well.
नहीं, पहले अगर इसके सवाल खत्म हो जाए तो इसके ऊपर मैं अवश्य बोल दूंगा। अगर बाकी कोई और सवाल पहले चैनल्स के ऊपर हो तो उसके ऊपर सवाल खत्म हो जाए तो मैं इसके ऊपर भी बोल दूंगा। नहीं, ये आपने सही कहा कि ये बहुत मुश्किल है इसको पता लगाना, और इसमें हमारे जो इंटेलिजेंस एजेंसीज हैं वो इसमें काफ़ी मुस्तैदी से काम कर रहे हैं, क्योंकि अब एक बार प्रक्रिया शुरू हो गई है तो ये जो है प्रक्रिया चालू है। अब आप देख ही रहे, पिछले महीने हमने 20 किए, इस बार 35 किए और नंबर बढ़ा है, और इस बार जो है 1.3 करोड़ उनके व्यूज़ हैं। तो इसका मतलब कितनी पॉपुलर ये चैनल्स, 130 करोड़ व्यूज़ हैं, 1.2 करोड़ सब्सक्राइबर्स हैं, तो दैट शोज़ द पॉपुलैरिटी ऑफ दीज चैनल्स। और जैसा मैंने कहा कि केवल इंटेलिजेंस एजेंसीज तो कर ही रहे हैं, पर उसके साथ साथ अगर आप लोग और सारा हमारी पब्लिक वो भी अगर हमारे पास लाएं कि भाई ये चैनल इस तरह का टॉक्सिक विष फैला रही है हमारे देश के खिलाफ, तो हम सब पे ही कार्रवाई करेंगे। और हम केवल इंटेलिजेंस एजेंसीज पे क्यों, ये तो कोई भी कर सकता है। इंटरनेट इतना बड़ा है, हमारी भी देश 130 करोड़ का है, आप देखें उसके और बताएं।
Sir, I'm Pranav here. I just want to find out if this blockage is only for country-specific content or worldwide. And at the same time, my supplement question is, Twitter also has a lot of fake accounts. Are those also being looked into, Twitter accounts which are existing from a neighboring country, both Pakistan and China?
As I mentioned that in the last time when we had blocked those 20 channels, then the intermediary took the decision to block it all over the world, not just in India but all over the world. The access was blocked. I mean, those were blocked all over the world. And this time also we expect similar, because these channels are absolutely toxic and fake. And regarding Twitter, I mean, whether it is because our purview of the INB ministry goes towards news channels and news agencies. We don't go to individual Twitter accounts of individuals or individual Facebook posts, because that lies in the purview of the METI, and that is what they have been doing. We are doing it as a news channel and a broader this thing.
जी, मैं इधर मनीषा हूँ TV9 से। इसी को मैं समझना चाह रहा हूँ कि जब आप किसी YouTube चैनल को ब्लॉक कर रहे हैं तो उनका वो जो डैमेज कर रहे हैं उसको हम लोग अपने देश में उसकी व्यूअरशिप को ब्लॉक करके रोक पाएंगे, या फिर अगर उसको सब जगह से हम ब्लॉक कर रहे हैं तो फिर वो नया चैनल लेकर भी आ सकते हैं? तो किस तरह से इसको आप काउंटर कर रहे हैं?
नहीं, ये बात तो आप सही कह रहे हैं, क्योंकि हम जो ब्लॉक करते हैं हम तो अपने देश का ही ब्लॉकिंग का ऑर्डर दे सकते हैं, पर उन्होंने इंटरमीडिएरीज ने पूरे विश्व में करने का इसको फैसला लिया, क्योंकि वो ये इसमें कोई तथ्य ऐसा भी नहीं है। ऐसा नहीं है कि इसको कोई और देखे तो इसमें पूरे ही तथ्य विहीन अगर कोई चीज़ है और हमारे देश के बारे में कोई कह रहा है और बिल्कुल ही असत्य कह रहा है तो उसका कोई अर्थ नहीं है। पर ये तो लड़ाई हमेशा ही जारी रहती है, हम कुछ ब्लॉक करेंगे, कल को कोई नया शुरू करेगा, ये तो चालू ही रहता है। तो इसीलिए इसमें इंटरमीडिएट्स का भी रोल अच्छा है होना चाहिए, क्योंकि उन्हें अपने सिस्टम्स को इतना इम्प्रूव करना चाहिए कि इस तरह का कोई भी चीज़ आए तो ऑटोमेटिक उनके यहाँ रेड फ्लैग हो और वो उसको ना आने दें या हमें बताएं।
So you mentioned that you got the input from intelligence agencies just yesterday and you issued the order. I want to understand, sir, what is the procedure for the final decision to block them, and what are the checks and balances in that?
See, the IT rules are there and they are there in public domain. In case, in a normal course, there is an interministerial committee which comprises of several ministries, including METI and Home, Women and Child Welfare also. I mean, various ministries are represented, including also FICCI, CII, Bar Council. There are several members there in that committee. But in case of emergency, like for example, this content, you have seen some examples which were shown. I mean, this is so, and this is clearly against the sovereignty and integrity of the country. There, in that case, we are allowed to take action immediately under an emergency provision, where the authorized officer, who in our case is Mr. Vikram Sahay, Joint Secretary, he puts up to me and I approve. It is just a two-level process.
Yeah, but but
subsequently we have to take the approval of the interministerial committee. So in this case, the interministerial committee is likely to be held on Monday or Tuesday. The interministerial committee.
See, under the rules, what is provided is there is the interdepartmental committee, and that committee, all the matters are placed before that committee. So after the emergency powers have been exercised by the Secretary Ministry of INB, the orders are passed. That order needs ratification by the interdepartmental committee. That committee would be meeting, we would be issuing a notice shortly today, and that would be meeting on Monday or Tuesday. And the entire matter will be placed before them. They would examine the entire matter and give their views, and they would be ratifying. Thereafter, a final order is issued. That is a procedure which has been laid down. That was a procedure which was followed when we had issued the emergency powers orders on 20th of December, and a similar exercise would be undertaken now.
Sir, I want to understand that the number of channels, YouTube channels and websites you are talking about, has ministry issued an order to block them, or they have already been blocked?
We have issued the order yesterday, and as I said, that the intermediaries are in the process of blocking. They take about 20-24 hours. We issued the order last night. So we expect that by this time, a large number of them would be blocked, or they would be in the process of blocking by today evening or night.
Yeah, and if I can add one more question for my understanding. Right now, Vikram sir said that there is an interministerial committee where the decisions of the ministry is placed for a final decision. So what
Interministerial committee, that again is a recommendatory committee. Final decision is again taken by Ministry of Information and Broadcasting. It is not this that the interministerial committee is the final this thing. It is the authorized officer who places before the interministerial committee. They make a recommendation, and final decision is of Secretary Information and Broadcasting.
And who are those in that interministerial committee? If you
See, the committee consists of senior representatives from the Ministry of External Affairs, the Ministry of Defense, the Ministry of Home Affairs, Ministry of Electronics Information Technology, Ministry of Women and Child Development. It is there in the rules. And we also have non-official members, which are called domain experts. So the domain experts are representatives from Federation of Indian Chambers of Commerce and Industry, from the CII, from the Bar Council of India, from the Press Council of India. So these are all represented in the interdepartmental committee, and they all meet at the time when the meeting is scheduled, and then they give their recommendations for the consideration of the Secretary, Ministry of INB.
IAS rule changes, yes, it is making a lot of news, but as you said, I am a senior bureaucrat and I have been in Government of India now. This is my third stint in Government of India. I have come to Government of India at all levels. My original cadre is Maharashtra. From Maharashtra, hardly any officer comes to Government of India. I have been here at Deputy Secretary level, I have been here at Joint Secretary level, and now at Additional Secretary and Secretary level. In my personal experience, Government of India gives you a very, very broad perspective. Coming to Government of India is essential not only for an officer, for his personal development, but not just for the sake of the government, because an officer who comes to Government of India will perform much better even in his state and also in his subsequent career in Government of India. And the earlier you are exposed to that, that is better. If you remain in a state, you develop a provincial mindset, then there is no difference between a state service officer and an IAS officer. What is the difference between a provincial service officer and an IAS officer if you remain in a state, except that you get faster promotions? My personal experience, again I will narrate. When I came first time to Government of India, my 4.5 years I spent in Ministry of Petroleum. When I went back to the state, I was Commissioner of Sugar. And when I was here, then this ethanol blending program had started. Because I was part of that ethanol blending program, I could use that experience to push all the sugar factories in Maharashtra towards ethanol blending and also co-generation of power, which helped the sugar factories of Maharashtra to a very great extent. Subsequently, and then experience of the state also helps you when you come back to the Government of India. When I was in the state, I was Principal Secretary Industries of Maharashtra. That has helped me hugely when I came back to Government of India and Department of Defense. Because I knew almost all the industries of Maharashtra, what they are making, how they can manufacture, increase indigenization, and where most of the industries were working in defense in Maharashtra. So it works both ways. The state experience helps you in Government of India, Government of India experience helps you in the state. And this is absolutely essential because you develop a broader perspective, you take back something from Government of India to the state government, you bring something from the state government to Government of India. And that is how our services, All India services are structured. Otherwise, what is the difference between our service and any other service? So this discretion that some people want to come, some people don't want to come, there are some cadres you find that there are some cadres from which all the time there are people in Government of India who don't want to stay in their cadres. There are cadres like Maharashtra from where nobody wants to come to Delhi. So this doesn't work well neither for the service nor for the officer. So there has to be some level, that level playing field, that everybody has to do certain levels of work in Government of India as well as in the state government. So this is my personal view.
Sir, if you can also tell us, this is the third time, or when the IT rules, the new IT rules have been applied, the emergency powers and the new IT rules have been
Second
used for
time.
block?
Second time.
Second time that the new IT rule. First time was in December for blocking
Yes.
the 20 accounts.
December 2021,
2021.
just a month back.
Okay.
The contention in the letters written by the West Bengal Chief Minister that the officer's consent will not be required now when he is called to Delhi. Is it right, sir? The new notification has, new recommendations are like that?
अभी तो क्या recommendations हैं, and they have gone to the state governments for their comments, and the discussion process is on. But the point is कि, I mean, it has to work both ways. You can't have consent all the time, because as I said, from Maharashtra, if you look at it, there are today only 22 officers from Maharashtra in Government of India against the quota of 93. So, and I know a lot of my colleagues in Maharashtra who have never come to Government of India. That is why they never got empaneled as additional secretary, never get empaneled as secretary, which again is not good, because you remain in the state forever. But the perspective which I got when I was in Ministry of Petroleum, Ministry of Defence, these are central subjects which I could never have got if I had remained in the state.
Last question.
So like in this instance and the previous instance, the channels have been from Pakistan. But in case, let's assume going into future, there are some channels from within the country. What is the mechanism that they have in case emergency powers are invoked against them? What can they do against it? Do they have any powers for that?
No, see, I mean, we are invoking the emergency powers under our laws of India. And then, I mean, we can't force anybody to switch off their channels. I mean, our laws don't apply in Pakistan. But then we are telling YouTube, the intermediaries, that these channels have absolutely no basis. And these are very toxic. I mean, by any standards, even an intermediary cannot allow something which is totally false. There has to be some grain of truth. And there has to be some level of research. You can't, I mean, General Bipin Rawat's crash happened, that is correct. But now, putting it that the Indian government is responsible, NSA is responsible, I mean, this is absolute nonsense. Recourse on that, there is an appellate. I mean, they can approach the courts. I mean, in India, if it is there, then definitely they can approach the courts.
That is a normal way, that if you have any grievance against decision of the government, and they can always take it to the court or to the authority where they can appeal. So that would be the process which anybody would like to follow. But if it is palpably misleading and false, the type of accounts which we saw, then of course the case is very weak.
And I will tell you that last time also we received some inputs, but couple of channels we did not block. So it is not this that we blindly block whatever comes from an intelligence agency. Last time there were a couple of channels which we saw and we felt that there is some element of doubt in these channels, and we did not block.
Thank you very much, Chandra.